Hey, what's up, Maj?
What is going on, Phil?
Not too much, man. Today we're gonna be talking about how to get paid as a Gator connector. Maj just finished his first deal with me, and I'm freaking excited to talk about our deal. But first off, let's hear a little bit about who you are, Maj. Give us a little bit about your background. What do you do? What's your passion, and how'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, no, totally. Um, First, this is my first deal with Phil, first of many, so I'm excited to get some more going. And I actually bumped into Phil at a meetup. I believe it was either at community camp or it was at the business acquisitions.
I think it was
And
a community camp. I'm pretty sure
okay,
back in the day. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh no, I saw you actually at in New Jersey.
Oh,
At
yeah.
the
Okay. Yeah, the Newark,
Yeah, at
New
the
Jersey.
Deal Makers event. Yeah,
Yeah.
so prior to that, kind of a quick background. Got into real estate, realizing that I wanted to build wealth and generational wealth for my family and not just trade my time for money. Started a cleaning business with one of my buddies that we still have going. And we started that in 2017. I told him, like, hey, let's figure out a way to have our money work when we're not working. So I didn't have much money at the time. I was looking to buy a property. So I found out I couldn't put any down payments. I was trying to figure out all the creative ways to get into real estate. And then I was doing a lot of YouTube University at the time. And I learned about Airbnb arbitrage. So just learned it on the fly with Airbnb arbitrage. I got done with a carpet cleaning job and saw a house that was up for rent. And I pitched it to the landlord, and he was on board. Literally the first guy that I went with, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it," which kind of shot me in the foot because I got complacent. And then that we ran for about 4 years until the regulations caught up, as that happens with Airbnb, unfortunately. And then we started to, when I say we, my wife now and I, we figured out how to get into real estate creatively because we had to shut that down. So we're looking for down payment projects, all these type of things. Uh, Long story short, we get into the sub two community. I found out about Pace from a podcast on Bigger Pockets, and then that kind of spiraled, and I got into business acquisitions, deal makers
hmm
actually, and that's how I met Phil
Yeah.
in New Jersey. So it's a little quick background of me.
Sweet, man. And you also do jujitsu too, right, my man?
Yeah, dude, I actually got my blue belt
Oh,
hanging right here on the mic.
nice, dude.
As
Nice.
a little reminder, as it's like with each thing that I do now, man, it's like I have my white belt. It's somewhere here, but I
Yeah.
just as like a reminder that you just got to keep rolling with it. Just keep
Yeah.
going with the times. So whenever I'm talking to sellers and I get cussed out, I'm like, well, next one. Next one. And you do jujitsu yourself, yeah?
Yeah, dude. I love jujitsu. I've been doing it for the last probably close to 14 years now. 14 years.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
hasn't stopped. Hasn't stopped then. I absolutely love it. But yeah, let's make a little quick pivot here. We actually ended up doing a deal together where you got paid your first connecting deal, and I'd love to talk about that because I've been getting a lot of questions from the Gator community in regards to how connectors can get paid and basically how they can make this business model work for them. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the lead that you end up kind of bringing to me and kind of how you went and found that individual.
Yeah, no, totally. I think one of the main things I want to stress is networking and communicating with people, whether it be on the internet, social media, going to events like how I linked up with Phil,
hmm
or just like hitting the phones, calling people. That's going to be really crucial. Um, how I actually found this person was through my partner, Joseph. He had Astro Blaster going on, is a little thing that Jamil was running. We're like a CRM where it automatically sends out messages and stuff. So he connected with this agent,
Yeah.
and he had this Astro Blaster going on in the background for I think it's a year now. So he built up the relationship automatically just with AI. So it was all systematized. And he let me know, like, hey, I got this agent. She came to us with a few deals actually. And The one that I linked up with you on
Yeah.
initially is not the one that we originally closed on, but that deal in particular, she was looking for some funding, and we were in the talks. When I say we, Joseph and I, we're talking about how we can make some more additional income on top of doing assignment fees and whatnot. And then that's where we came up with the connector fee to pitch it to investors, agents, people that are needing EMD, gap funding, any type of funding in general. And I linked up with Phil. I saw he was doing a lot of things in the community, both in Sub 2 and the Gator community. And I was like, hey, man, I want to be able to do a deal with you. I always see you're crushing it out there. Let's see if we could connect on this one. And, the first one didn't work, but, this one seemed to pan out.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's so basically to kind of recap, you end up connecting with somebody in the community in Sub 2 or Gator. You end up
Hmm.
utilizing basically their Astro Blaster that you guys are running for basically a year now to connect with different realtors and other investors in that area, basically in Florida, right? Or is it across the United States?
This one in particular is in Florida.
Yeah. But you guys are
Hmm.
running it across the United States, or is it just mainly
Yeah,
in Florida?
we're doing it in Florida, Georgia, Colorado. Um, let's see, since Phil's in Virginia, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
do Virginia too.
Yeah.
Wherever Phil is, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So then you basically follow it up, and then with this particular lender or borrower, what information did you end up collecting from them in order for you to kind of pass it along to me?
Yeah, so that's where I actually lacked a lot of the knowledge because this is my first
Yeah,
connecting um, fee from connecting a borrower and a lender.
yeah,
So you actually provided me a list of questionnaires,
hmm,
how much they're needing, uh, what is the duration, like the time frame
hmm,
for the amount of time that the funds are going to be lent out for, and also what's going to be securing the lender in the deal. And you also mentioned having the purchase and sales agreement, the ID, so making sure they're actually a legitimate person.
yeah,
Those type of things that you have shared with me, we
yep,
actually are like, okay, this is really good information. We're kind of building on top of that to make sure that we have a solid structure
yep.
to follow, to make sure that each person we're reaching out to, we're not wasting our time. We have all the criteria right there. The also the return percentage return that the investor is going to be getting, the lender. There's multiple different type of things that were on that document.
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty, I guess, robust list to kind of gather
It is
information.
very robust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because if you're giving out some money, I'm not sure if we're going to go over actual figures. It makes sense to go pretty
Yeah,
robust like
yeah.
that.
It really does. I'm happy to go over figures. And on this on my channel and on my information that I provide, I always like to go over figures just so everybody has an idea of like the true numbers and
Totally.
whatnot. But to kind of pivot here real quick, I know you got a whole list of basically all the information you end up sending me via email, and then I end up looking over it, and then any information that I felt like was missing or I want to get more clarification on, I end up reaching back to you as a connector to reach back out to the borrower to get that information. Now, I know you to go. How did you, or why did you end up going through the connecting route versus like wholesaling or lend, or not wholesaling, connecting or Gator wrestling, or actually being a lender yourself?
Sorry, you broke up a little
Oh,
bit. What was the question?
yeah. The question was, sorry, my bad. Why did you end up going through the connecting route versus the lending or the Gator wrestling route?
Well, this isn't my main source of income, so I
Uh-huh.
have a few other businesses. And I figured it'd be the one that'd be the most hands off
Yeah.
to not really trade my time for money, but also give value and be a part of a transaction.
Hmm.
Um, and also be able to, add value both in the relationship as well as onto our business. So that's why I chose the Gator connection route and just being a lending connector there.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. I think it's more even easier route too as well versus like the lending and also the Gator wrestling because you're also lending on that aspect of things, which makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense based on your lifestyle and where you're at right now and your business and where you're at in life in general. Now, did you end up negotiating anything with the borrower after like being a ping pong? Basically, connectors are basically ping pongs, more or less. They're always bouncing off
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say we kind of negotiated with both, both yourselves
Yep.
and also the borrower to see what they can afford because they ended up paying for the TC. They also ended up,
Yep.
I believe, paying for the attorney fees to draft up some of the documentation
Yep.
and of course our connecting fee. So, given with your experience, I was like, hey, I think we started off at somewhere around 5 or 6 grand initially, and
Okay.
then I consulted with you to see if like, hey, is this fair? Because I there's one thing about like making returns, but I also want the borrower to return back
Yeah.
to us to make sure that they keep doing business and we're not just out for a big large chunk.
Yep.
So after chatting with you, we decided that 4 grand of a connector's fee of I believe it was like 35K
Yep.
that they needed was feasible, and I split that half with my JV partner Joseph.
Yep.
Because he bought the relationship, and you
Hmm.
know, it all worked out, panned out for everybody at the current moment that we're in. And I think
Yeah.
you guys are also uh, secured as well. Sorry, she just wants
Yeah.
attention
That's cool.
all the time, every time.
Yeah. Okay, so to kind of recap here, the borrower end up paying for the TC costs, end up paying for your assignment fee after negotiating, and then you guys negotiated the higher rates to accommodate it.
Hmm.
So we end up partnering with the borrower and having an interview on my end as the lender or the lending partner per se.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, we end up negotiating a 35% return on our money for the next 6 months.
Hmm.
So that I don't normally do those kinds of a longer duration of period of loans. I just stick with a 4 month period, or no less than that. But after doing a lot of due diligence and meeting with the borrower in a virtual Zoom, we end up having a really good connection, like really betting on the jockey versus the actual asset itself. We end
Yeah.
up learning a lot of good things. I don't know if you were on that call, right, Maj? But you
I,
see that
I
call by
was
chance?
I was on the initial call and I learned
Yeah,
a lot from that call. And you actually recommended, hey, make sure you record these calls. And
yeah,
that was something I was like, I didn't, I thought about it, but I thought it would have been too much to say, like, hit the record button on the Zoom and have
right.
that awkward time where it says recording in progress. 'Cause some people are like, you're recording this,
Yeah,
so I guess I should have announced it, but that's something that would be helpful for others to learn from,
mhm,
just to recap on everything that was been said. And I pulled up the questionnaire that we chatted about
yep,
earlier. There was additional attachments like the scope of work, of course,
yep,
their ID, the payment schedule, LLC documents, of
yeah,
course, the purchase and sales agreement. We went pretty in depth um, regarding the information of the jockey, like you mentioned. And
yeah,
then the way that she carried herself, she knew what she was talking about. And then you mentioned a lot of the experience that she had, which she
yep.
had her own crew and things like that. So,
Yeah, I like to harp on the own crew situation because I'm a fix and flipper myself, and I understand that's a make or break like factor in any project. And if she doesn't have that dialed in, then I become less secure and assured that I'll be getting my money back. If in her case, her contractor was her dad, so I'm like, oh, that's even better.
yeah,
So
it's in the
I mean,
family.
yeah, it's family, so that's great. Kind of pivoting here, and we end up talking how you got paid on the. No, actually, we did not. How did you end up getting paid on the transaction? Like, I know you end up saying you
Yeah.
and your partner got $2,000 each. How did you guys get paid?
So that was actually raised by yourself. The borrower agreed that they would um, basically be paying us. So they asked for the amount of money from the lender, which was yourselves and Claudia, I believe was
Yep,
your partner.
Claudia.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And they all wrote that down on the promissory note that they would be, making those payments back. So it was 35K plus our connection fee,
Mhm.
attorney costs, and TC costs that they had to borrow. So that's how we got paid. And then once the transaction closed, then we got paid out had the checks mailed out to us next day.
Yeah, which is awesome. That's and how
Yeah,
much did the TC cost? How much did January cost?
I believe it was a thousand. I
Thousand
believe
bucks.
it's a
Okay.
thousand, yeah, or eleven
Yeah.
hundred, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm actually used to paying the TC, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
dang, I'm gonna have to pay the TC. But then she is passed on to the buyer in this case, because
The
typically
borrower. Yeah.
I'm the buyer or the wholesaler, so
Right.
that was new to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can do it different two different ways. You can actually pay it for yourself or have the borrower pay for it. It really
Hmm.
depends on where you're at in the business, but I recommend you have the borrower pay for it if you can. If not, then you can probably split it amongst either the connector and the lender themselves just to make sure that everything's good to go. There's many ways you can slice the pie.
Right.
And then I know you were actually a little bit on vacation when this deal was going on, right? So outside, like, what was your involvement after you passed the ball to me? I know you maybe spent maybe how many hours did you end up spending on this deal?
Initially up front, probably like an hour or two. It
Uh-huh.
really wasn't that much.
Yeah.
And then that's why I wanted to get a TC involved too, because I feel like the TC holds some type of accountability for both people
Yep.
in the transaction. So that's why I involved a TC as well as like building a relationship, right?
Sure.
So um, that's the reason why. But yeah, after I reached out to Phil, it was really not much. I was checking my email.
Yeah.
Phil's communication is immaculate, and that's something that I really want to stress with other people when you're JVing, teaming up with people, partnering. Just the communication aspect via email or text is flawless. So
Cool,
yeah,
man. So I do
that's cool.
appreciate it. Dude, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, 100%. Speed kills deals.
Yeah, it does. I feel like this transaction that me, January, your partner, and then my partner did was like very like textbook in my opinion. You know, like
Hmm.
you got it as the connector, you got all the information, you gathered information, you passed along to me. We end up meeting basically the borrower and asking our due diligence question, and then from there we had a TC involved. They got paid, and then we did a joint venture agreement, and then all the necessary documents went to closing, verified basically wire instructions, wire the money, boom, done. Everybody got paid at closing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was like easy.
Yeah. And I think it was actually January that was on a vacation because
Oh,
I was probably mentally on a vacation. I was like, was I on vacation?
I,
But no, yeah, January had her day with
oh
Pace.
yeah.
So she was on
That's
her
what it
way.
was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So she was on her
gotcha.
way out there and I guess she got Wi-Fi on the plane or something, but she came through in
Oh,
the clutch
yeah, she
for
did.
everybody. But yeah, your partner Claudia was very communicative.
Yep.
Julia was very communicative.
Oh,
Yeah, it
100%.
was very good on everybody's part. So it was very textbook, like you said.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna do a little pivot on the mindset because I do get questions on mindset too as well on like new Gators because they when they join the community they like there's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so many things going on at one given time.
Right.
So what was like your mindset in jumping into your first Gator connecting deal, like pivoting from like real estate investing side, but more of a connecting role for lenders and borrowers? Like what was the mindset there like for you?
Um, I would say I was just really being open-minded, being a
Yeah.
sponge, and learning from someone such as yourself that's very experienced in this. Because I'm very new with the whole lending aspect, and I got into the Gator community when it first started, but I was very hesitant
Yeah.
because I almost lent personal funds, or it was like business funds I got from a business credit card on a
Uh,
deal, and then the assignment fee didn't have anything mentioning me getting my money back
uh,
if things went south. So I was a little hesitant with that. So, being able to come back into it and be open minded to the whole situation that, some things can go wrong.
yeah.
So, if it does, then we pivot at that time, but try not to overthink it because I used to overthink, but
Yeah.
now I'm just like, just flow with it. Just whatever comes, it will come, and then we'll pivot once that time happens. And the initial deal happened where we didn't have anything come to fruition. It was mainly because it was a probate situation,
Yeah.
and one of the sellers didn't want to sell. So I was like, "Oh, that sucks, but let's keep digging." And as long as you have people around you that are in agreement to keep digging with you, that's awesome. And I feel like a deal's inevitable at that point.
Yeah. So you leverage, back your network again to keep on,
Yeah.
even though you basically hit a roadblock where it was basically outside of anybody's control within the deal, you end up just continuously going because, well, you got people to support you, you got lenders, and you got borrowers that looking for money, and like, why not, basically, just
Yeah,
yeah, amazing.
100%. And I gotta ask you the same question too,
Yeah,
Phil. I
yeah.
mean, given your experience and everything like that, like about mindset, like going into something like this.
Yeah, so I mean, my mindset as far as being the lender in this particular aspect.
Yeah, yeah, and also like if there's other gators out there that are new and then they
Mhm.
see somebody that has experience such as yourself, what should they look for or how should they expect someone with more experience to, agree to go through with them?
Yeah, I mean, in the mindset that I like to kind of leverage if I'm a lender and having new folks like yourself come to me, I'm always open to working with anybody. But I understand where if I was a connector, what I would have to do to satisfy other lenders, their requirements, because everybody's requirements is completely different than mine. And even though we may have overlapping criteria, some might have different ones. So understanding that, like you said before, being open and flexible and trying to facilitate the needs of that lender to make sure that they feel safe and secure in order for you to move on to the next process, which is obviously lender and borrower meeting. That's huge. And I would also add patience and consistency will always trump like anything out there, in my opinion. Like you can be the smartest person in the world with no consistency, you'll probably end up failing at the long runs. But if you have consistency and patience and dedication, and obviously hard work and ethic and all the other things that go along with it, you can go very very far. In my opinion, with a lot of folks, and even continuously do better than people that are way smarter than you.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset on that. I mean, I have been through. Oh, I'm going. I'm going through a lawsuit right now, and I've already been through another lawsuit. So dealing with the Gator community or dealing with lending per se. But my mindset is just continuously do what I got to do and keep on moving because no one really cares at the end of the day. Just you just gotta keep on working regardless of
Yeah.
your life circumstances. Um,
Yeah, 100%. I haven't even gone through a lawsuit yet. So I know in business it's inevitable. So I was
yeah,
like, oh shoot,
yeah. It
that's
is
when it happens.
inevitable. So I mean, either way, it's just a part of the nature of doing business, which is fine.
Right.
You just got to be, as long as you know it's coming. It's different when you're in it than oh, it's gonna come eventually. But when you're in it, like oh crap, this actually sucks. But like whatever, it is what it is. Um, yeah, cool, man. Thanks for the question. Really do appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah, most definitely.
for you as a connector, like what were some of the difficulties that you end up facing as a Gator connector?
Um, just being able to trust that people will come through. Because I feel like being a connector is kind of like a game of telephone where you're talking to one person, you have to communicate to another person. And
Mhm.
then when you have open line of communication, like being CC'd or something like that on email, having group text messages, sharing a drive together, those type of things will allow full transparency with people. And having other parties such as like a TC or a title company in particular to hold everybody accountable, I think that's really, really valuable.
Yeah, yeah. Which is very, very true, man. I think you end up hitting on the nail on the head, dude. Honestly, trust is a huge factor in this business,
Mhm.
and that's what we're relying on is basically trust. And if you don't have that
Yeah.
trust, there's not a lot that you can do. It's basically gone. Um,
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people like when I posted I made a post
yeah,
about this transaction and I had a
yeah,
few people reach out to me and say like, "Hey, how'd you get paid on this? I tried to do a connecting and I got screwed over from somebody I did business with for a while now and I don't know why they screwed me over." Because a lot of people they're messing with their livelihood and they want to get paid from these transactions. So, I truly appreciate you putting this together because I feel like it's going to help a lot of people gain some clarity on how to navigate the waters. when doing a connecting fee and whatnot between borrower and lender.
Yeah, and I was a very like I was advocating you to put like yourself and whoever you need to put on the JV agreement to make sure that you guys got paid. Because I don't want to do a deal where a connector's not getting paid. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? You guys did a lot of work to get to this point, and the work that I don't even see behind the scenes that you guys end up doing. I didn't even know you guys spent a whole year like marketing. That's crazy. That's insanity,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna need to pay for that
Yeah.
follow up. So that thank you so
Hmm.
much for letting me know and letting the audience know. Like there's just more than what you see on the surface. You guys spent a whole freaking year marketing. That's insane, right? People
Yeah.
will quit like a month in, so like you guys did a whole year.
Yeah, persistence. Like I said before, though, when I first got into real estate, like I got lucky talking to that first landlord to do Airbnb arbitrage. There
Yeah.
are those times where you can like really get, I don't want to say lucky, but it's like the trick of the trade. Maybe it was
Yeah.
just myself putting myself out there and then the universe is just like, here you go. But sometimes
Mhm.
that does happen, but most times I think it's like just put in the numbers, the reps in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
get
then
it.
what since you've completed your first deal, like what is it has there been a mindset shift after doing your first deal?
First connecting deal, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It was like when I first got my first assignment fee and also, everything else. I was like, okay, let's put more attention into this connecting lenders with buyers. And I really need to get more structured, create SOPs for it and
Yeah.
whatnot, so that we know, what a lender's looking for in terms of return, what
Hmm.
a borrower can expect when
Hmm.
asking for money. So that's one of my main things that we're working on next, for ourselves. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Well,
yeah. How about yourself, Phil? Like, what are you looking for right now in terms of
uh,
like lending and business stuff?
yeah,
I know
thanks
you're
for
doing
asking.
business acquisitions.
I am doing business acquisition. So I'm looking for a lot of different things. So I don't expect all of that to be fulfilled. So
Hmm.
I mostly in my real estate business, I do fixing and flipping in the Richmond area. So if you guys happen to have a deal or any cash deal, I have a buy box. I'll put it in the description somewhere in the video that you guys can check out. As far as business acquisition, I'm looking for landscaping business in the Sun Belt states, $1 million in revenue or above. I also started a new company actually with a couple of partners of mine. We end up basically doing it's a marketing agency for landscaping companies that we
Oh,
handle
cool.
all of their front end marketing per se. So all that they do is just basically close on those leads. And we're also actively looking to buy a title company right now in East Texas, which we do have one, and we're looking for potential funders. We already have a big lender already in line, but if
Mhm.
anybody's interested in that deal, happy to talk about that. But thank you very
Okay.
much for the space, bro. Um,
Yeah. No,
so
thank you.
yeah, man. Last couple of questions here before I let you go, my man. What would be like some of your maybe two to three, maybe even one takeaway from this deal that people can basically learn from Gator connecting?
You said one takeaway because there's so
Well, it,
many.
it, 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 could, it could be one to three, whatever you want.
Okay, okay. First one off the top of my head is leverage your resources
Yeah.
and connections, and
Awesome.
the other one would be just persist whenever there's obstacles,
Yeah.
and just keep being persistent. Follow up with people, uh, whatever that may look like, because people have busy lives. We all have things going on,
Yeah.
and don't take it to heart when someone doesn't talk back to you or reply, or they read your text message, you see it, and they don't say anything. Just gracefully message them again, and that will lead you in a way where the needle is going to be moved in the direction where everybody wants to go. So I would say those are my couple takeaways right there. They're really crucial.
Yeah. Be pleasantly persistent. Is
Yes, yes. Good way to put it. Yes. 100% pleasantly persistent.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, right? I stole that from somebody. I'm pretty sure. But how can people find you, Maj? What's your handle?
Uh, on YouTube and Instagram, MajSayyy.
Awesome.
Building up to YouTube, trying to get
Yeah,
on Phil's level as well.
I'm trying to be on Pace's level, so that's what I'm trying to be on.
Yeah, yeah, we're all chasing that. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
dude. Well, thanks, Maj. Really appreciate you spending the time to speak with me about the deal, and hopefully, people that are viewing and listening to this, recording found value and able to, take that action and get your first deal done. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. This is the first of many, y'all. So expect to
Yeah.
see us both on the next one.
All right, man. Later, guys.
Later, y'all. Thanks.